Hi, and welcome to ThreatTraq Essentials. We're going to take a look at this week's ThreatTraq stories and see what lessons we can learn from them to keep us safe online. I'm here with John Markley, who's on the show today. How you doing, John?
Doing great. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, let's talk about our stories. The first one was a story about, well, it turned out what was thought to be hackers may have been a counterintelligence operation. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so Stan talks about it's almost an ethical conundrum with the software company who is, looking at protecting their customers or constituents versus, an ethical hacker who may be actually trying to protect their citizens like a nation state. So it's just that, just to disclose, not to disclose, to block, to not to block, when you know that the person doing the activity may actually be a friendly.
So any lessons that we can draw from this or any lessons for the future?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a continued challenge. And it's just one of those things that I think that, companies may want to think about, especially in the business of software protection or detection, is what do you do when you identify something that is maybe a good guy, but maybe doing something to protect themselves, protect your company. What do you do if you do see something happening in one of those purported good guys?
Now you brought us a story about a 0-day vulnerability in Android. Tell me about that one.
Yeah, so it was basically something that was patched back in January, impacting devices with Qualcomm chipsets. And it's been known, fairly while, but, just now patched, so it just became public. And I think the key here to this particular story is, the vulnerability itself is probably not a big one for most people because it requires, some physical access. But the primary issue I brought the story up, or the reason I brought it, was just to remind people to keep an eye out for those updates, keep their devices up. How should you check, to even see that you have, what you're on and how you should update it. So it was that more of a reminder than really, a concern.
So keep your devices updated because you may not be aware of all the vulnerabilities that are out there for that device. And if you keep your software outdated, that's a good way to keep up on that.
Absolutely.
So George brought us a story about an attempt to get some malware into an open source repository. What happened there?
So basically, through some manual checks, they found that some remote command executable or execution code had snuck in and into this repository, which could have in turn been used for people to build off of, because the majority of the internet's built off of PHP, which is where this was at. So it was really a story about how this got in there, which is maybe a little questionable, but still, and how it was detected.
So people who are affected by this, who may possibly be using that code, what should they do?
The challenge there, the lesson to be learned there is that, we need to be aware of what code we're using in our products and make sure that, kind of like some of the other stories we've given, is keep it updated. So if there's an open source update, they may have closed a problem. That's why you want to keep that software updated, and you want to be aware of what you're using to even know that you need to update it.
Okay, well, thanks for that great advice, John. Thank you all for watching, and if you want to keep up with great advice like this, please like and subscribe below. And if you want to take a look at a deeper look at any of these stories, click on the playlist below, and we'll see you next time.